are in a gateway in the clouds. Ladies and gentlemen, stand up, make it loud, because we're proud Ashaman of the Black Tower.
Just FYI, guys. Apparently, we don't record until tomorrow because it's a Monday.
Yeah.
And we don't record on Mondays.
Taking an exception.
Don't fuck with me right now, dude. My brain was seriously unprepared for that.
Oh, that's enjoyable. I like to see the wheels in Josh's head turning. Because Andrew and I both looked at each other when you said it's a Monday, and we were both like, nope, no, it's not.
Oh, God.
Well, it's even funnier because right before he said it's a Monday, I said it was a Monday.
Yep.
So
it was.
Yes, it
Might
took
as well have
someone
been.
else to say it out loud for Andrew to catch on, and then it took me to say it out loud for Josh to catch on. And that's okay, because we're all a little mad here. Why are we all a little mad here? Because you've tuned into the Black Tower podcast, a Wheel of Time podcast that is hosted by three Ashamanses.
Oh, wheelie. Oh, wheelie.
I hate it.
I was just about to go.
We would never call it wheelies.
Sneaky little Ashamanses.
Blow.
I do apologize in advance because dinner is in the oven and it requires hearing about 10-ish minutes being checked on, pulled out, meat added. So
yeah, the meat.
Yeah, it's dinner that's in the oven. That's what he's gonna go check on and add meat to.
Oh yeah, Maya. I'm not picking up Maya until tomorrow.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because we will be again absconding this coming weekend for our anniversary. So,
nice.
It's already been a year, and somehow she hasn't gotten rid of me. I don't know what her deal is. What is this commitment?
This when you start to ask the question, what's wrong with her?
It tastes like happiness. It's disgusting.
What's wrong with her, though? You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure there are a number of things.
Absolutely nothing.
I'm sure there are a number of things that are wrong.
For when she watches this later, absolutely not.
Oh, and she will. She will. Because she does watch our episodes on YouTube.
Nice.
Excellent.
So
that's very nice of her.
Well, but you might be wondering whose episodes on YouTube. Oh wait, no. Daniel
I was going to
introduce us.
Yes.
Well,
but we didn't introduce by name.
I was going to say the reason that Andrew is going to need to go ahead and censor himself or be civil or whatever you would like to call it is because that right there is the Bajan Mahal, Andrew, and he's one of the hosts of the Black Tower, and you should know him and you should trust him implicitly, and there's definitely nothing wrong with him or anything in his life.
I don't know about the second one there.
Fact checker Mahale would be like, yes, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
You tell your paper.
Oh, speaking of which, I actually I was asked a question the other day that I thought you guys might know the answer to because I didn't have an answer off the top of my head. Jesus Christ, it's a Monday.
It's the post
the top of my head
brain scramble.
It is. No, 100%. So in Battlestar Galactica, there's So Say We All. In a number of other things, there's, so shall it be written, so shall it be done.
Right.
There's here, things like that. Is there a Wheel of Time equivalent of like here, or like So Say We All? Because there's definitely a number of other like platitudes or sayings or things like that that are, the wheel weaves and things like that, but they obviously don't mean here necessarily.
You kind of have by the light, which is like strikes me as similar as like, kind of like may the force be with you, like almost like wishing Godspeed.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can see that.
I don't think anyone in the Wheel of Time says dilly dilly. So
dilly dilly.
They should.
It was the stupidest fucking thing in the world, but for like 2 months, everybody was like dilly dilly.
Hey,
dilly, dilly.
I loved those medieval Bud Light commercials where it was like the Bud Knight.
The Bud Knight, yeah, no, the Bud Knight was
running
great.
around.
Yeah, apparently we're not allowed to like the Bud Knight anymore. I don't care about.
Can't tell me what to like.
Hey, Andrew, you want to introduce the Sorvan Mahale over here? Since I introduced you,
we're doing a circle jerk of introduction.
Absolutely, that's the intention.
I mean, if you guys want, I'm not great at skiing, but if you like dry, calloused, and jerky, we can make it work.
Or is he in a gay porn? Is he skiing or is he in a gay porn? Hint.
Love it.
He's in a gay. Well, the other gentleman you see on the screen with the fascist beard, not that.
Wow.
Andrew.
I tried to say fabulous and luscious at the same time.
Wow.
And it came out as fascist.
Wow.
Maybe I shouldn't be introducing anybody.
Oh, maybe I need to shave.
No. No. It's so great. It made me try to merge the words fabulous and luscious.
Fidel Castro beard over here.
I mean,
Lushulous.
Of the things about Fidel Castro that there could be nicely said, did have a nice beard.
Yeah, that and his absolutely ridiculous wardrobe of camo.
That is terrifying. A lot of absolutely fascist rulers in history have had it, except for one, notably one of the most notable, had really intriguing and really good facial hair.
Was he a notable noble?
Was he tanning in?
I don't know, but he did. He did notably. Notice that.
Did he note notably?
Anyway, we're gonna start over. Josh, edit out that this week, please.
Just the whole part where you called me a fascist.
Yeah. No, I didn't call you a fascist. I called your beard a fascist.
You called my beard a fascist.
Because it's so nice that it tried to stop me from expressing my thoughts.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I like that. That was a nice save.
Yeah. Anyway, the gentleman who's always on fire, because he is always incredible. The gentleman who wields flame in the palms of his hands, and it's definitely not just cinnamon. There's a whiskey in it as well. We have our lovely Sorvan Mahale. You might also know him as Josh. You might also know him as the Taint Man.
The Taint Man.
The Taint Man.
The Taint Man. Oh, he's also the out of focus man.
You might also know him as the man with the fantastic coat.
All right, guys.
Oh, that was a good one.
All right, guys. What you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to go down to the river, and then once you've gone down to the river, you're gonna want to find the Taint Man. And the Taint Man is gonna direct you to
of many accents. A man whose mustache is only rivaled by the Longhorns of Texas. Yeah, there it is. Our Dragon Banner leader, our Amin Khan Mahale, the fabulous, the glorious Daniel.
All right. A man whose breadth of voices is only outshined by his depth of character.
Oh,
ladies and
gentlemen, so deep he's almost unfathomable.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty. Oh, what was that Family Guy that used to do like all the Conway Twitty cutaways?
Yes. It was Family Guy.
Oh god.
All right. There you go. Yep. Smack.
Hello, darling.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is day one after con. I know that it's not for when you're actually listening to this if you are not a Patreon, but for all of our Patreons who we saw at Jordan Con this past weekend, it's also day one after, I guess technically day two after Jordan Con, because it technically ended on Sunday. But like a lot of us left yesterday, and so it's really day one after Con for a number of us.
I left Sunday, and it doesn't feel that much different than whenever last year I left on Monday.
See, speaking from your mouth to God's ears, Andrew.
I don't know about that, because even last year I was seen more than one day, so there's that.
Yeah. Hey, we saw you more than one day.
I went from like all the spoons to no spoons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. And that absolutely happens. So,
but I don't get to have that excuse for WatCon. So come to WatCon, where I'm trapped into a commitment of social interaction.
That's true.
Unless he gets the vid.
Yeah, unless I get COVID. That was a fantastic excuse for last year.
That was a good excuse.
Yeah.
I will say this:
the shit out of his roommate. Just
saying. I will say Daniel like just walked in like he's like, I don't give a fuck about the vid.
Yeah, because every time I walked into the room, I had some WatCon water. I didn't care about the vid when I was on WatCon water.
WatCon water stand no chance.
Anyway.
I will say this. I will say the live stream went off very, very well.
It did. Yes. Thank you to all of our guests.
Much quicker, much more efficiently than I had anticipated, if I'm being honest. Like it was like plug everything in and everything just kind of worked. There was like some issues with, actually doing it in the right order because I'd never done it in the right order before.
Yes.
But it was good.
Play first.
It was really good.
Well, and of course
I said foreplay first.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, hey, foreplay first, during, and after. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, whatever gets the job done, guys.
Only like that many people being there at the start of things, not throughout the whole thing. It's a little crowded. I'm a big boy. I need room to roll around.
Fair.
But you know who also needed room to roll around? The topic of today's episode. But before we get into today's episode, you need to be protected. And today's protection comes from an absolute legend of a nerd. Like, if there was a registry for nerds, they would have founded it. This spoiler warning is brought to you by The Registered Nerd. Enjoy, close your eyes, and relax to the dulcet tones of your favorite, but registered and legal to own nerd. Nope, not that, because that sounds terrible.
Thank you. Yep. We're good. We're going to move on.
Yeah, anyway.
This is your Black Tower podcast, Wheel of Time spoiler warning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. If you continue to listen, you may be cursed with the knowledge yet to come. These curses may include knowledge that you are, in fact, just a farm boy. Drinking one glass of wine now leads to mustache pulling and a hell of a hangover. Resigning that you will never be as good with the ladies as your friends are. Realizing andro is bae, regardless of your gender or sexual orientation. The inability to stop tugging your braid in anger, even if you don't have hair. An understanding that the word taint is simultaneously a noun, adjective, and verb. Discovering you have more titles than actual name. The BDE, also known as Big Dragon Energy, becomes undeniable. Finding yourself promising to read A New Spring and never getting to it.
So convenient.
An uncontrollable urge to argue over
now he has to check dinner.
Pronunciations. Knowing that hating gone is a responsibility, not a privilege. Again, there are no beginnings or endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. You have been warned.
Yes. We have been warned. You have all been warned. The warning hath been given. Now that you are all warned, know that we shall be taking the kid gloves off of our handses. Okay,
Of our Ashaman's handses.
that's it. No more handses.
Smack makes a good point. Why didn't we go ahead and play that when John came on? Because we don't actually remember every aspect of all of our spoiler warnings is the answer. And we forgot to go ahead and do the one that was specifically, hey John, you're wrong. It's a duty, not a privilege.
Blame it on the taint. I blame the hashtag blame the taint.
Blame it on the tank.
Blame it on the taint. It was oily slick. That could be the
Also-
one idol.
There we go. Bruh, I've already
There's
got
so many
like,
great ideas.
All right.
So tonight we're talking about one of the forsaken, one of those who've turned away from the light in service of the Dark Lord.
Though no one is so far gone from gone to the shadow that they cannot be turned back to the light. I had to say that for legal purposes.
Yes.
We all know that this
Yes,
particular
yes.
one is never turning back to the light. Not even once.
So this one, so it's Mesaana. We're talking about Mesaana. She's got a number of things that make her unique. For one, she is not noted for being like spectacular in her field of study. She was actually turned down from a very notable position that she applied for.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, okay, those who can't do teach. And she went and became a professor. So she was a teacher. She was a teacher at what was it? It was she became a teacher. It just says she became a teacher.
At Columdon.
That's where it is.
At Columdon.
That's what I thought. I was like, I knew there was a freaking the name of the university was there.
Yep. So yeah, her original name in the Age of Legends, before she turned to the Shadow, was Stain Harrisoned. And yeah, basically, Professor has stated it was partially because she did not actually get what she wanted. She basically failed out of art school, and so she went and did something nasty. As we all know, that is the start to a lot of people's stories. When you fail out of art school, you then go massacre humans. Just not really true.
Yep. Well, she's also kind of like, okay, for any of you who have watched Yellow Jackets, she has real Misty energy for me. Like, she's not particularly attractive, she's not particularly ugly, she's not particularly brilliant, she's not particularly dumb, but what she does, she's very, very good at. And what she does was not very nice at all. As a teacher, she would started secretly indoctrinating the kids with the Dark One, is great, is good. The Dark One is so good. And slow learning, she would punish slow learning with death. That'll keep you motivated, right? Come on.
All right.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Well, it was not subtle.
It was not subtle.
Yeah. This was after she flipped to the Shadow, and she was just like, I'm gonna make schools.
She went full on, yes.
I'm pissed that you made me a teacher when I wanted to be a researcher and a scholar and win the Nobel that doesn't exist anymore or yet. But you all determined that I don't have the proclivity for that. So I'm just going to go to the Shadow because it looks like it's more fun over there. And basically turn into, I don't know, 1933 to 1945 era Germany. So
Yep.
Not good stuff. And yeah, it's also interesting the way that we talk about Mesaana, because when it comes right down to it, Mesaana was not actually bad at stuff. She was bad, but she wasn't actually really bad at stuff. She just wasn't apparently either the kind of person that they were looking for, or she just didn't have quite as much skill as the people who were approving, research fellows for this university
This
wanted her to be at.
right. This is why I was saying. This is why I was saying that she had misty energy, though, because
Yeah.
I can imagine her walking in to interview or whatever, and like just right at the right second, giving off that creepy-esque, like, what is? I'm not comfortable with this person, and then just like dropping that vibe, and then thinking she's totally being normal. But there's just something weird and something not quite right. And the people at the hiring are just like,
Nope.
no,
I love,
no.
So I love one of the things where they talk about Mesaana, and we talk about like how she was not adept enough to be a researcher. So she was basically chosen to become a teacher, which makes me think that there's some degree of ascribed jobs in the second age, to a degree. But it might be like you work in a certain field and we'll place you where you fit best in this field. Like if you want to work in, education, which would include like research and stuff, if you don't seem to possess the research qualities, we might make you a teacher.
It also
there's a part that talks. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's a part that talks about her being like roughly as adept at being a battlefield general as there is her being a researcher. And I'm not sure if that is like a Machiavellian style dig at her just really not being that great at too much of anything other than brainwashing children, or if it was she didn't meet the standards of the second age researchers, but by any standard in the first or third age, she'd be like, but like Herod Fell would be like a child, like a toddler compared to her.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because like in terms of like pure raw power, like she's far from the weakest.
She is,
in fact,
yeah.
There's only three people, or three female Chandlers ever that are stronger than her. Yep. And that's Olivia Simorog and Lanfear prior to the Fen having a king's feast.
Right. But yeah, so I actually sort of look at it as a situation where this is where her resentment started. Because I don't know if you guys have ever, I know that you guys work in a slightly different field than me, but this actually happens all the time in service, where you'll go to a restaurant, you'll go to a retailer, or you'll go to somewhere that's like an entry-level position, and you'll be like, hey, I have some management experience. I would like to go ahead and come in as like at least a shift lead or like a manager. And they'll go, well, you don't really have the qualifications that we need or the experience that we need, or or you like have to pay your dues at this company.
Or the chutzpah that we need.
That's usually not it, but again, it's usually like the other things. But they'll say that, and then they'll be like, but we'll like put you on the floor. We'll just like make you a sales associate or like a server or whatever, and then we'll go ahead and get you into management at some point. And as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, naive young high schooler, or like, out of college or whatever, you can absolutely look at that and be like, they see my potential. They just don't have a position open right now or whatever. And that's horseshit. They absolutely have a position open. You are just not the person that they're looking for, or they want to go ahead and hire more salespeople. And so they leave the management position open to get people in the door so that they can lie to them.
Like we're filling that position internally, but we're legally required to post it publicly. What we're actually hiring is for the peon position that the person we're promoting internally, from of course 3 states over, who has done nothing here and doesn't know how it works here.
Yeah. know it. Exactly. And so I actually feel a little bit for, like, I know that I'm projecting because Robert Jordan does not necessarily give us enough information about Mesaana to say this is what happened and this is why she was frustrated. He gives us some information on what happened, and I kind of project my own experience into Mesaana, and I can kind of understand why she is the way that she is. I mean, again, please do not hear me incorrectly. I do not think that Target hiring you as a floor sales associate is reason to go over to the shadow, but also be like going to the Colum Dom and having them be like, all right, well, we're not going to hire you as a researcher, but we do have this teaching position. And hey, maybe if a research position opens up, or like, you show that you have the right qualities or whatever, we'll move you over into research. And then 12 years later, she's still a teacher, and she's just like, hey, fuck you. You are not being honest with me anymore. I don't believe you. And now I'm actually really frustrated. And so I feel like, during those 12 years and whatnot, she's learning about the she's probably teaching defense against the dark arts and is actually learning a lot about how to, fight the
Professor
shadow.
Quill.
Right? And fight the shadow and like all of the things that it can do to and for you. And she's like, some of this actually sounds nice. And she starts talking to the kids about it, and they're like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be cool if the dark one just ruled us all and blah blah blah. And they're like, and you're like, Anakin, why are you in Mesaana's class? And then you're like, and at some point, she just goes to them and is like, okay guys, seriously, either make me a researcher or tell me or I'm quitting if you don't make me a researcher. And they go, okay, bye. And then she goes and signs up with the dark one, because like,
I feel like TV show Louis Theron was standing there talking with Mesaana like during her interview, and like Ileana came in with like his freshly born child, like still has that fresh out of the vajayjay smell, and Louis Theron sitting there like, oh, teaching is a great honor. Children are our future. And Mesaana just goes eventually, huh, you're right, they are. And instead of going the very committed and loving and caring educator that we all want to see, goes instead the Disney It's a Tiny World ride route. It just starts taking children and telling them to sing or die.
I like It's a Tiny World because we're a non-copyright program, so we're going to go ahead and use slightly off names for that.
That's not the actual name, is it?
No, it's a small world, but it's a small world after all.
Apparently, ever since I got that notice from like Spectrum about the person pirating a Disney movie off my Wi-Fi, I won't even use their song titles.
Yep.
No, that's probably smart.
Yep, it's legit. Anyway, Josh, bring us into sort of. I think that you're this we've talked about a little bit now. I think that you were onto something earlier about sort of her just being kind of meh. And I think that that's actually kind of the point of Mesaana's character, and I really like that you brought that up, because Mesaana has always been very gray man to me. Like, by the time you actually figure out what Mesaana is good at, it's already too late. Like,
you put all your skill points into wisdom and they're gone.
Yes. Well, Mesaana is so from what we know of Mesaana is that, because all the Forsaken have a calling card, right? They all have a thing that they like to do, an angle that they like to work, a place that they like to be.
Which
Grendel
is where
likes
parents
to
use to scare their children, because it's the one thing that Sorry, Grendel likes to.
Grendel likes to get, beautiful, rich and famous people and break them, make them her servants. Moradin is the uber nihilist. He wants everything to die and go away and never come back again. Mogedion likes to hide in the shadows and plot and scheme and wait for the fruit to fall into her hands. And all of them have this like very distinct sort of method. Mesaana's method is very much that of a sort of like a real evil mama duck. She's most comfortable when she's heading up an organization of submissives under her control. That's why she was that's why she was very, very comfortable as a teacher. And that's why after the bore was opened again in the Third Age, one of the things she did was immediately sought out the Black Aja and started to maneuver and control the Black Aja via Alviarin. So she would talk to Alviarin. There was the break-off Black Aja who was answering to Mogedion for a while. Those would be the ones that Nynaeve and Elaine and Egwene were chasing after.
Leandrin and crew.
Yeah. But for the main bulk that were in the tower, Mesaana was getting information and controlling and maneuvering them from there.
Yep. I do like that they're dark evil ducks, but at least Mesaana has her ducks in a row.
True. Yeah, no, it definitely did make me think of like I put in the live chat. Join the live chat, by the way, if you're not in the live chat. And if you can't get into the live chat, you should go to blacktowerpod.com and click the Patreon button so you can join the live chat.
We have a Patreon?
Yeah, we got one of them there, Patreonies. You can give us their money and we can talk to you live, but you can't talk back. Or you can. You can text back. That's because we also record at the same time. You can. But yeah, so like she makes me think of of her notable achievements during, let's say, well, not let's say, it is early Third Age. And after the breaking of the world, as the Shadow captured regions, and the other chosen or forsaken would go through and continue to wage war and make tangible gains for the Shadow. Mesaana hung back, and she governed a lot of the areas. Mainly, her main focus, like we talked about, was focusing on the education, or rather brainwashing, of children. And I don't know. I'm sure I thought this in the past because it's such an obvious comparison. So trigger warning for anybody that gets triggered by Nazi Germany. But the similarities between how Mesaana conducts herself as the kind of governor or ruler of the territories of the Shadow that they've conquered in the Westlands, compared to how the leadership and the education structure under the Third Reich of Nazi Germany is as clear as anything is in the day. Picture the most crystal clear water you've ever seen, the most obvious conclusion you've ever made or seen somebody make. And that's pretty much this, because you have, instead of the Hitler Youth, you wind up with the children, Mesaana's children, which is during the breaking of the world, which are presumably the grown-up children that have been brainwashed by Mesaana and her educational doctrine for forever. But there's very much this rat out your neighbor, now rat out your friends, now rat out your parents when they don't, stand at attention and do the salute to the Dark One. When they reject, the teachings of the Dark One, when they don't follow the policies of the Shadow of the Dark One, you must tell everybody. And that's what you're supposed to do. And it's very much this brainwashing of, we're actually not that bad. We're trying to make things better for everybody. This is the only way. And if you want to succeed in this environment, you need to do what we say and help us in every way you can. And it is terrifyingly effective. Like that
Yes.
is her notable achievement early third age, is ruthlessly governing and policing the lands that the shadow have captured.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
wait,
and
I didn't know
that's-
that. During the second half of the war, she used the children to carry out executions.
Oh yeah.
So she made
Oh,
them
yeah, no,
spy,
she-
judge, jury, and executioner.
Mhm.
No, she was a real piece of work. Like,
Yeah.
she was nasty. She was a
Oh,
horrid woman.
look at that. She even had them burn books and destroy history.
It's almost like those types of ideologies, you can slap a label on it, wrap it up in a brand new box, but it's still the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same old box of poo that they fed
It
you
is.
in the 40s. It's the same box of poo they fed you before that, and before that, before that, before that.
It's almost like the particular writer of this book was a student of history and was like, hey, you know what'll make my story really realistic? All those things that actually happened in real life.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if there was, and I know that this was not covered in Origins, but I almost wonder if there was like some like German like Frau who was really loyal to the douchebag that he based her on. Because this seems like the more I'm reading this story, the more I'm thinking this sounds like a familiar story, and I can't put my finger on it.
The only parallel I'm aware of is the parallel of Mesaana to Messalina, was the third wife of the Roman Emperor Claudius, and cousin to
no.
both Nero and Caligula. Caligula. There we go.
Caligula.
Yeah. And Messalina was most commonly and most notably remembered for her ruthless conspiracies against other members of the ruling class in Rome, but also had a scandalous reputation for promiscuity. So,
Yep, doesn't surprise
and that
me.
is from the origins of the Wheel of Time. So, thank you, Dr. Livingston.
Thank
Indeed.
you, Dr. Livingston.
But I mean, there's definitely certain ways, like the way she's described in dressing, like if you think of other than the notable like kind of like red armband that even really the SS didn't wear, their uniforms were black and silver. Well, when Mesaana would show up, she would dress in black and white or black and silver, with silver eyes and silver lips. I mean, I think
it's a pretty on the nose comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those of you who didn't know, Mesaana is sort of lifted from that ideology that start them young, indoctrinate them young, make sure that they police themselves and others. And and what do we know about the Forsaken and their thoughts on the third age Aes Sedai?
They're
They
pathetic.
say all the time, half-trained
Children.
children.
Yep.
These are half-trained children. They're not even worthy to be called Aes Sedai. Mesaana is also responsible for prolonging the break in the White Tower. So when you had I don't know that she was, let's see, I don't know that she's responsible for the initial schism or the initial breaking of the tower.
I mean, I
but
am sure that some of her machinations helped it happen, but it doesn't seem like she actually
doesn't have-
participated.
she doesn't have direct responsibility, that from what I remember, from what I recall. But she does work her butt off to make sure that the tower does not come back together, because she knows that a unified tower is
more dangerous
to the Force of the Shadow at Tarmangaida.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's see. So this
I mean, so she did a lot because she basically
yeah.
functioned as a, when we talked about the Black Aja, we talked about how there was a member of the Forsaken that essentially functioned as their leader. Even the what do they call it, Supreme Council or whatever, even they answered to someone, one of the Forsaken. Well, all of the Forsaken, but they had that one main watcher that made sure that they didn't get too far out of line, and that was Mesaana. And in addition to that, she kind of earns the title of like Shadow Armerlin seat, because she was the main one keeping tabs on and directing Alviarin on
Mhm.
how she should steer and direct things with Elida. Um, and just some of the things she's responsible for with that, and that lead credence to her causing the schism and prolonging it within the White Tower and the Rebel Aes Sedai, is uh, she participated in and maybe even gave the impetus to start Elida's coup against Suan Sanchi. She also spearheaded the increasing number of tower guards, amongst other things, to help keep Rand pushed away from the tower. She also forced Elida through Alviarin to sign the proclamation that acknowledged Rand is the Dragon Reborn,
Yes.
but he should die for what he is, pretty much.
Right.
And this kept Rand and the Tower from having any chance of working together until Egwene takes over forever, and it incredibly like weakens the Tower because she puts in through Alviarin and Elida these very kind of strict, distrustful policies that we see that the Black Aja is running around and reinforcing throughout the Tower.
Oh yeah.
And it's this kind of age old proverb of, the tree that never learns to bend will break, and that's what we see
Yes.
happen to the White Tower. The flexibility is gone, and they try to stand under Elida completely against Rand and hold the world to the standard that they're used to, which even whenever they were used to it wasn't a good fucking standard. And this is
And now
ultimately what
really
happened.
is a bad one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because Mesaana is actually one of the ones who I feel like is fairly effective. But she also is a bit of a the chaos that she sows comes back to bite her in the butt in a number of instances, because the chaos that she sows is so chaotic. And it's fun and slightly humorous to me that, Josh is absolutely correct about the fact that she seems to function very well in a set hierarchy or a set organization, or in some kind of bureaucracy where she can know all of the rules and break all the ones that she wants and things like that, but also does terrible in those because she keeps on getting herself in trouble because she sows chaos into those organizations and people notice. And so trying to hold all of the Black Aja together ends up just making it impossible to hold the White Tower together. Trying to hold the trying to go ahead and use the children of Mesaana to do all of these things makes it so that she just blows through her, children and her spies and her loyal followers and everything so quickly that it's hard to make more. And when you have shown that you find people to be expendable, there are less that are willing to volunteer for you and things like that. And so it's definitely, she's an interesting character because she never seems to really learn from her mistakes. But also it's almost understandable because her mistakes aren't huge. And so she keeps on trying to kind of do the same thing and make the same omelets and break the same eggs. And they never quite turn out the way that she wants to. And she's just like, cool, more broken eggs. That's what I need. And you're like, no, you gotta like actually fix your system. You gotta actually fix your recipe. You gotta actually fix what it is that's the problem. You can't just throw more shit at it. Like,
you say that, and you're not wrong, because obviously, as we've established time and time again, none of the Forsaken are as effective as they want to be, except for possibly Demandred, who largely, like, probably had the most impact of all the Forsaken. I mean,
could be argued. Yeah.
Could be argued. But here's the thing, though. Mesaana didn't get caught until like the very end. She was in the White Tower the whole time. And it was just like, oh, she's right under our noses this entire time. Now, granted, she's got unfair advantages. She can weave Mask of Mirrors. She can invert her weaves. She can hide her ability to channel, or the true, depth of her ability to channel. So she can look like an Aes Sedai with very little channeling ability, who is nondescript and just not worth anybody's attention. And that's cool. And as we learned with Suan, when she was healed and her ability to channel was tremendously sort of flipped, you've got real cultural issues in the White Tower that Mesaana can take advantage of. That she can say, oh yeah, this is how you guys do things. Cool. I'm going to just jump in and do my own thing. And you guys aren't going to be able to catch me because I know what I'm doing more than you do. And so, was she super duper effective? That's debatable. She did do quite a bit. She did accomplish quite a bit. But was she super duper effective?
I think she
hid
tried,
well. We can say that.
She tried to stay living in a space that she, as much as she hated her assignment as a teacher, she found her comfort in areas of learning and institutes of education, because she got used to that in the Column Dawn. She used that to great effect once she was governing the controlled and ruled areas of the Shadow. And when she finally released from the Boar and finally back out in the world, she immediately nestles herself in the White Tower. So, there's a bit of that. It's the cliche in every movie where some kind of terrorist cell like makes a massive attack on a country and they find out their headquarters was right underneath their noses all along. Because of course it is. Why not?
Right.
And that's kind of how Mesaana is, the kind of like philosophy of what's the fucking magic movie with Woody Harrelson and Zac Efron?
Now You See Me.
Yeah, that one. Come as close as you like, because the closer you are, the less you'll see.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
well, my point was, in some ways, like, she is actually really effective. And I agree with your statement, Josh, that she doesn't get caught until the end, but it's her own shit that gets her caught, is sort of what I'm saying, is that you can be very effective when you just go ahead and say, cool, boom, unfettered capitalism. And it works for a while. And it's great. But then if you just keep pushing that like same idea and like making it more and more and more and forcing more results and forcing more results and forcing more results, you end up with, oh, well, I'm going to get close to Elida and become one of her confidants. Oh, wait, got all of this suspicion that myself and the Black Aja are throwing around the tower. Now Elida's kicked me out of her inner circle along with everyone else. So I have no idea what Elida's doing. You know, oh, I'm going to go ahead and create the schism, or, help in the schism and whatnot. Oh, wait, now going ahead and trying to play both sides and making the White Tower so rigid and make it, when the rebels actually come back and they challenge the White Tower, only one of them can survive. And so either we've got the White Tower at way less strength because it's, the Aes Sedai that I've been fucking with, or it's the rebel Aes Sedai take over the White Tower and now I'm fucked because I get caught. Like, so it's just a lot of those things that I see of, you can be very effective. But if you're not flexible, as we sort of said earlier, if you're not flexible and you can't change to the situations you're in and understand that not everything that you do is going to have positive results for your own plan, and you're going to have to sort of take a left turn every once in a while, you just end up like boxing yourself into a corner. And that's exactly what Mesaana does. She just goes, cool, this is going to be really effective. And then it is. She's a genius. All the way up until the point where she gets stuck in a corner and she's like, God damn it.
No, she's definitely one of those. And, and here's the other thing too, is that I want to say she's one of the Forsaken that has some of the least amount of screen time or page time, I guess.
Mesaana?
Yeah.
She definitely is.
She's in the battle in Teleran Riyadh. As a matter of fact, that's how she's discovered. Mm-hmm. Once they are Varen has had her infamous tea date with Egwene, and Egwene after the Shan-Chen attack becomes Amyrlin. She starts taking over, she's doing the thing, they're having a great time. She starts hunting down, it's the purge of the Black Aja, and
does that mean there are no laws and no rules? It's the purge?
Or I don't know. It's not in my brain.
The part that we miss in between the lines of the purge of the White Tower is where Egwene and Elaine and even Suan combine their powers to open massive gateways to bring in truckload after truckload of White Claws.
Yes.
And we all know that there's no laws when you're drinking claws.
Oh yeah.
So that slips through the cracks of the story.
Because as long as you have everybody in the White Tower drink a White Claw, then there are no White Tower laws.
Oh god, if they don't have like a White Tower beverage like called White Claw, like come on.
I will say
honestly,
this.
Can we? I feel like that's a shirt. Is just Elida holding a can, and she's just goes, "Ain't no White Tower law when you drink."
It's just Tar Valon, but instead of the White Tower, it's a massive can of White Claw, and the flavor changes to correspond to the color that the Amyrlin seat came from, Aja wise.
I remembered where I was going with this, and that is that when you had the purge of the Black Aja, Mesaana probably has one of her most brilliant moments yet. She is in disguise brought before the tribunal or the hunters or whatever, made to swear upon the oath rod, and speaks the words after swearing that she will not say a word that is untrue. I am not a dark friend. And then they go, oh, okay, well, you were on this list. That's weird. Okay, well, we'll move on, I guess. And there's actually been a lot of speculation about that. And as we know from the three oaths, it depends very... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to be fair, we don't actually have that scene. It doesn't exist. There is speculation about how she got around it because it doesn't seem like she has fled the tower. But we also don't get like a POV where they're like, I was brought in front of these people and
right. No, you're right.
It's just speculation as far as she may have fled the tower already. But if she hadn't, how did she get around it? And I like where you're going. Please continue your thought. But I do want to make sure that people know that this is not a scene. He's not talking about a scene where like they know Mesaana's here and they like question her. It's just, how would she have gotten around this if she hadn't fled the tower yet?
Oh, so like,
yeah,
that would mean that she left the White Tower and then came back before the battle in Teleron Real.
Correct.
Which is plausible.
Entirely possible. Yeah.
The other plausibility is that she did swear on the oath rod, but because she's not a dark friend, she is
because the forsaken consider themselves so much above.
We are not mere dark friends. So
she could say the word "I'm not" or the words "I am not a dark friend" and fully mean them. Yeah.
Bitch, I'm like, chosen.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Bitch, I'm stylish. Black top, big t-shirt, Billie Eilish. Only instead of that, you'd be like, bitch, I'm chosen. Black Aja.
A queen in crystal now frozen.
Oh,
but
none of them are around to see it. So
is this? Are we gonna do the?
Oh my God!
And it's just Mesaana and Grandal.
Epic Watt battles of history.
There we go.
Battle. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I mean,
but yeah.
That's kind of what I have with Mesaana. Like I said, she does her thing. She does it well. She's devious. She's evil. She's a Dark One simp, I guess I could say. She's that because she's got that blind loyalty and desire to impress only one person, and that is the Dark One.
Yeah.
That's kind of my final thoughts. Like, I mean, that like this, it's
a little kind of dry.
She evil. She an evil bitch.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes some of the most evil characters in any medium evil. The people that commit evil for no real reason. Like many of the Forsaken, you can even if it's just a lust for power, you can understand the reason.
Sure.
Mesaana doesn't really have a reason. It's like she applied for a job, got told not job A, but we'll give you job B. It's really similar, but you just teach it rather than discover it. And she lost her fucking mind and went, fuck you. I hate all of you. I'm going to do everything I can to burn the city down. But also didn't really have the power to burn the city down.
Yes.
Like it's the white girl wasted at the local mixer. This song is about me. Do you all wish you could be me? My life is so great. Look at all the great things I'm doing. And then just goes home and cries at night about how much their life doesn't have meaning to them. Just to make fun of anybody that's feeling that way, by all means, if you feel that way, please do reach out to people, or reach out to friends, do stuff with your life that's have meaning. But it's this kind of like other side of absolute arrogance. I believe that's one of the weaknesses that we kind of see described about her, is that she's completely ignorant of her own weaknesses and shortcomings, where she thinks she's the best thing ever since the one power was discovered, and doesn't understand why she isn't treated as such.
Since Slice White Tower? Or since Slice One Power?
Slice
One Power.
Sidar.
Yeah. And it's now what I think is interesting to think about what's gonna happen to her moving into the fourth age.
Oh,
because we've already seen Aes Sedai figure out ways to heal stilling and gentling. I think we're going to see Aes Sedai breaking a fair bit of the mold, and Aes Sedai and Ashaman, the mold of the taboo of experimenting, new weaves and stuff like that within reason. And who knows? Maybe eventually they are able to restore Mesaana's mind to a degree. If they decide to keep her alive, it's a big what was her name? Like Terry Fraser. A really big, massive
Terry
case.
Schiavo.
Terry Schiavo. That's it.
Yeah.
It might be a Terry Schiavo kind of case that they're dealing with, but you're talking about somebody that lived in not one, but 1.5 ages that you don't have fantastic records of. So
yeah,
who knows? And maybe she could prove to be a counter to some other poor, unfortunate asshole person that was captured by another group that might seek to wage war on the mainland. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows indeed.
Top 10 Wheel of Time anime redemption arcs.
Okay, Itachi. Calm down.
You only have to redeem yourself if you ever actually did anything bad.
Wow.
And Itachi was flawless.
You're an Itachi.
You're an Itachi stan?
I'm an Itachi realist.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about, but that's a good answer.
Because he went Oppenheimer on the Uchiha clan.
Tune in for our anime podcast that we now have to create, because I want to argue with you over that.
Oh, dude!
This is Dragon Ball Z that you're talking about, right? It's definitely...
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, cool.
No, it's actually Naruto Piece Quest for the one Bleach bottle.
Dragon Ball Gundam Moon.
Shippuden.
Dragunden. That's a fun. Actually,
what are your thoughts here, Daniel?
Yeah, round us up.
My thoughts about Mesaana are complicated. Because again, as stated, I don't agree with, as it's presented in the books, her reason to go over to the shadow. But I also know that we don't have time for Robert Jordan to explain in detail what actually makes his villains like super justifiable every time.
That's what's stopping us.
And so I feel for her. I do. But then we get that scene where she kills a warder with pleasure, and I'm like, bruh, what the actual fuck? Was that not Mesaana? I thought that was Mesaana.
No, because I thought the Forsaken that killed a warder. No, that was Cimarog.
Was it?
Yeah, because Cimarog has the history of like the experimentation, the torture, and the medical thing. Okay. And that was all medical chini.
You're right. No, you're right. But yeah,
anyway.
It's not the only scene that I was thinking of for Mesaana. It's just the one that's the most potent in my brain right now. But yeah, she does a handful of things that are just like, lady, what is you doing? Like, stop. Think about your life. You don't have to be this anymore. And of course, like, again, I like the idea of her still being alive. In fact, literally, we learned that all of the female Forsaken, I think, are alive at the end of at the end of Tarmangaiden. Like, again, they're in varying states of disarray. Let's use that word, or something along those lines. But technically, they're all alive. And I like to think that, at least one or two of them can now see that the shadow has been defeated and their life's work is sad and kind of pathetic, and that they look back and go, I have made mistakes. I have fucked up. But I don't know if that's true about any of them. But I do like the headcanon that, somebody comes along at some point and fixes Mesaana, and she sees the error and is like, all right, I'm cool now. Now I'm gonna help you guys. But I don't know. I feel like at this point she has definitely done too much stuff of convincing children to be horrified, like do horrifying things, and I don't know. So Masana's just scary because, again, one of the scariest things is just people who can convince other people to do stuff without actually compulsing them. Because, like, compulsion is a weave. Presumably, you can block that. Presumably, you can stop that. Presumably, you can fix that. But when you've actually just brainwashed somebody legitimately, like, into doing some crazy shit, that's way scarier to me. So I don't know. Mesaana has just always been, and it also goes with the whole, like, we don't get very much about Mesaana. She's like kind of an enigma throughout the entire book series. So there's a lot of it that you're just like sitting there inputting in your own brain, and you're just like, cool, you're terrifying. I'm done. I don't want to listen to anything about you anymore. But yeah.
Well,
as
speaking
I
of
said,
being
I
done,
think that she goes ahead and creates a lot and then shoots herself in the foot, just like you probably should right
yeah, that's one of the few differences between her and Mr. Not a full but only under the nose mustache, because he didn't shoot himself in the foot.
Correct.
And I'm not going to say what I was going to say because you two probably won't like that. Anyway, speaking of not saying what I was going to say, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. As much as we hate doing that every week, if you are listening to us live, make sure you come on over to the Twatcast, folks. I'm going to talk about some JordanCon stuff. Those of you that were there, for those of you that weren't there, for those of you that were there in spirit but not body, for those of you that were in body and not spirit.
We're not judging either way.
But for all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, if you want more of our stuff, blacktowerpod.com, one-stop shop for all of our shit. Check out the Crystal Barista for all of your rocks and minerals and that hunting stuff, because it's fantastic. But we're going to end and say goodnight.
Check out where she's going to be for rock shows. They're also really cool.
Because there's a good chance wherever she is for rock shows, there too may be Josh.
Also true.
But for all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for chatting, listening. Please leave your feedback. What do you think about Mesaana in the comment section below? Because we look forward to hearing what you have to say. If you do like what we're doing, do please subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever other channel. Like the video, like the episode. That's it. Enough shameless plugging. I've been your Bajan Mahale. My name is Andrew.
I've been your Soraban Mahale. This is Jiggity Josh.
And I have been your Amin Khan Mahale, Daniel. And from all of us here at the Black Tower, again, thank you for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your morning. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Always running the show.